As you can see, we have a whole whack of parts here, and I just got a delivery from CV Tech in Montreal and an eBay counterbalance. So I think what we're going to do is something a little bit different in this video, and that is just to concentrate on the 951 DI engine and building one and all the little things that you look at along the way. This one I had rebuilt because the inner seals on the previous crank were totally loose. Like that's snug. This one's really snug, but it's a good snug fit. And the other ones I had were super loose. Also, the bearings are nice and tight on here, and the other ones were very loose and very rattly. So you can end up building the whole engine and then end up blowing it up after putting it all back together because of a weak bearing or oil leaks or whatever. So in this case, I decided to start with a full brand new rebuild. So I think what we should do is bring this over to the bench, and I'll just go step by step of how to put it together, so that way if you have any questions you can watch the whole video and you'll see every step. First thing I like to do before I put the engine together is I go and I take all the bolts and I wire wheel every one of them. Get all the old Loctite off, any old sealants or anything, and then just throw them in a bin. And then what I do is I take the bolts from the cylinders and I put them, screw them part way into the top of the case, and then I flip the case over, and then I build the engine upside down basically, because the bolts go in the bottom case, through the bottom of the case and down, so you really have to flip it upside down. Plus it has all the little notches here for the bearings to stop them from spinning around. And in the top part of the case, if you put the crank in here, it doesn't have those little notches, so you have to make sure you get them in the right spot, and then it would be reversed to what would be here, so it's just much better. Build it this way, you won't have any problems. So let's get the counterbalance. So here's the counterbalance, and there is a blue mark right there. I don't know if you can see it or not. Right there. So we got to make note of that when we bring the crank over. We'll just drop this in, and you can tell which way it goes because this is for the air compressor. And the only thing you have to line up here are the two seals. That's got some crud in there. I'm going to clean that out. And this washer here. And this seal is a double seal at the front, and that just drops in there. So let me just clean that off. Okay, the crud is gone. We have to align the gears, but let me just get this somewhat in place. All right, let's find the alignment mark on the crank. Is that it right there? I guess that's why they put the white in there. And they put a little scribble. So you can see we're off. See, there's the blue there and the white there. So let's see if we can get that aligned. I'd say that's nicely aligned. Now, we'll just have a quick look, but everything looks good. We want to turn all your bearings, the little clip, retaining ring, clip to go in that notch. This one's missing, so it must be underneath. Got that one. So you have to check those. They definitely all have to be in place. So let's spin those. I also got to grab the seals for the end. Okay. We got pin, 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 pin. So yeah, now we need our 2 end crank seals. So I'll dig those out and we'll pop those in. Both ends are the same. I messed that up. I should have put the seals on first. And the other end. And that's it. Again, on the top side, I just put a little bit of acetone. Wipe everything down. I've already cleaned all the old silicone off that was on there. And now we'll get set up for the Loctite 5910 I'm using to seal this. Something I forgot to mention, you need to go to seadoomanuals.net and download the service manual for your machine. They're kind of generic, so you can download an RxDI or a GTX-DI or whatever, as long as it's the DI, and that'll give you the engine building requirements, specs, torque specs, the whole bit. So we're now anyway ready to join the 2 cases together. I have my Loctite 5910. I just put it in a little container like so. Just a little blob in there, really. Doesn't take much. We're going to roll her on. I want to keep it as thin as we can, but get a nice coat. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. Let's put her together. That's the split where the bearing goes, right there. Everything looks good. Have a look in the end. And that should be it. Loctite 243 on all the bolts. And there's a lot of them. Just going to run those down. Not putting any torque on those at all. Okay, now all the small ones. That was a 13 mil socket, by the way. It's actually sitting on the rods. Could use a little bit of a additional height. And the torque sequence is here, 12 Nm on everything, starting with the big ones. And switching up to the smaller ones, going to 13. That's the first sequence. Second sequence, we are going up to, oh, torque wrench shut off again. 27. Okay, now I like to go and check each of the small ones. Actually, why don't I torque all the big ones down as the final sequence. Those are all done. Now we'll do the big ones, and that goes to 40.
12 and last 12 get 40 Nm. Where's 5? And 11 is okay. Now I got a marker. Where's my marker? We're gonna check all the big ones that are, make sure they're at 40 and mark it. So that's all done. 1, 2. Those 6, all good.
Those 6, all good. And that is all of them. Well, we got this upside down. We may as well pop the starter in while we're at it. Just gonna put a little molly on there. Not very much. Very snug. But that makes for a good seal. And again, lock tight. Hope that's not going to be a problem when I'm trying to assemble this thing. Thought I was saving myself some trouble, but let's see. Just going to shoot a little grease in there. One there, one there. That's better. Little grease in there. Ooh. That's a lot of grease. Good. Next job, compressor. And we'll just roll that engine around. Maybe I'll put it there. Okay, we don't want to drop this in the engine. Gonna get a little bit of assembly lube. And this is the only part on the engine, only part, I use red Loctite. We do not want this bolt coming off. I've seen that come off before a couple of times. And it's bad, bad. I wanted to put a little bit of lube in the bearing. Oh, this stuff is messy. I gotta get a piece of wood. How about the end of the hammer? Perfect. And the cover goes on here. Why do I think those bolts are too long? Can't be that big. Found them. Again, a little bit of blue Loctite. Oh. You're okay. Doesn't have to be super tight for this. And now the compressor top. O-ring. A little bit of Loctite. This little dowel pin right there lines up with the dowel pin hole on the top. And we'll tighten her down. Good. Got to take that piece of plastic pipe off there. Just before I forget, a couple little housekeeping things I like to do. So I'm going to throw a cap full of oil in each side here to help with on startup, so it's not a dry start. Next thing we're going to do is throw the 40 weight oil in here. We forget to do that. We're on to a brand new rebuild after a few minutes of running. Okay, got the vent cap off. Time to trickle some oil. 40 mil, 30 weight. Got an air bubble. And that's that. Make sure you got your washer. Now you know you're covered. I'm always afraid of forgetting that. And you don't get to find out till you start it. Okay, let's put the pistons on. Just going to put a little bit of bearing lube on here. It's just assembly lube. Fits good. Same on the pin. Look at this stuff. What side is the pin? Oh. Okay, so I marked it. There's an arrow on the piston. I don't know if you can see it. I put an arrow here as well. And that points towards where the exhaust is. And now we got to put the circlip back on. Now always get the open part of the clip pointed down and set slightly off this opening here, and that's where you pry it open. If the clip is that way, it's a lot harder to get the clip to come out. I gotta get my little flat screwdriver. And I cover the engine because these clips have a tendency to go flying on you. And you don't want it falling in the engine because then it's a tear down. Same procedure. Behind. Pop it in. Now you can see that side is not on. Now it is. Perfect. Okay. Let's do gaskets and the cylinders. So this is the trickiest part of the whole build, and that is getting the top end on. Actually, I think I can turn this around the other way. because it's sort of angled this way. Permatex Ultra Gray. I always put a bead of that all the way around here. Then I put the gasket on. Then I put a bead on the underside of the cylinders as well, just for that extra added seal. And I am gonna just wipe off the top here just to be sure there's no, with acetone again, no oil. Very thin bead, same thing again. You get the idea. And we got it all coated up. And that hole there goes on the dowel pin, and you see it's square here and round here. Round there, square there. Looks good. Now we got to do the same on the cylinder head. So let's grab that. So this being a saltwater ski, you can see some corrosion in here. That's really my only concern with this head. So it didn't leak before. So I'm hoping it's not going to leak again, but we're going to have lots of good stuff in there anyway. And you get the idea. The messy part. Want to get some, but not on the gasket if I can avoid it. Which seems to be an impossibility here. Perhaps I should have Okay, this is the most difficult part. Let me just wipe this gasket up. Trying to get these pistons on. I'm going to get a going to grab the PTO, stick it on here so I have control over. Here's the struggle. You're trying to get the cylinders on here. I mark that's where the pin is for the top ring, and the bottom ring pin is over here, which has been erased, but I'll put another mark on there and drop this thing on. Okay, here we go. This is the worst part of this whole thing. I need ring compressors. It's the only real good way to do this. Put a little extra dab in there. Whew. That was a job. So to bolt the head on, they want some moly coat up around the top here. And they want some 243 on the threads. And you got to do that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times.
Drill first.
$40 starting where? So it's same pattern. And that is 40. And moving on, get our gasket, the head gasket. It can only go on one way. It fits on the dowel pin holes. Try and put it the other way around, and it doesn't align up properly. It hangs way over here, so pretty much safe on that one. The other dowel pin is actually in the head itself, right there. And these go on with 40 Nm, and it's a whole ton of them. Okay, goes there, and we need some Loctite again, just a dab. Okay, now the raves, well, the old gaskets were totally stuck in there, and they were hard as a rock. So good thing we're changing them. Good. Exhaust manifold. That looks good. And again, Loctite. Going 30. Perfect. And we will put on the engine mount, 2 dowel pins. Line up like that. And the PTO splines, spline gear, I don't know what you call this part. We can call it whatever we want, really. Okay, that compressor sounds weird. I don't know if that's going to be something we'll have to address later or not. Okay, so we need to put the little keyway in. Might have to tap that in, I don't know. No, fits in there good. Keyway there. What am I doing? And a little bit of Loctite in here. A little bit, a lot of it. Block washer. And we gotta impact that on. Good, she's torqued. Okay, here's the rig up. Put some oil in the line over here, and I just clipped it on there. Reaching over and opening up the oil pump control. I got the 3 lines. You can see some air in here. It's got to run in reverse. Looks like they're all... Okay. Now we got them. Now they're all primed. You can see them all dripping out. All the air is out. Now I can put that rubber gasket back on, pop it on the engine. Just clip the oil lines on. There's one, and finally the one for the compressor. Make sure this plastic is in here. Check and double check. Gasket's on. Magnet pulls it right in. And then there's got little clips over here for the oil lines to clip into. Still got a bit of air in there. And there's a coolant line that comes from the water box on the bottom of the engine and goes into here. So what are we going to do? Pull it forward, tip it up. I tip it up, will it balance? That one's in a crummy place. The two air injectors, they just push in the head, and there's an O-ring that you pop in there, and then the injector just pushes in. And ooh, that's cruddy. Oh no, it's not. Is that cruddy? Kind of cruddy there. Okay, direct injection goes on here. Snug them down. Oh, this is some kind of, what is it, 7 mil? No. Yes. Yes, it is. And now we can actually hook up the oil cable. So we'll do that. Swing her back again. Okay, hopefully you can see here. This cable was adjusted way too tight. There's a mark, a line right here on the oil pump and right here. And as I tighten this up, see how that moves? And that has to align, which that's just about it right there. This thing was just way maladjusted. And we are right on. Give her a little throttle. There we go. See, now we got all the clearance in the world over here. Before that was all jammed around. Just can't assume that anything was done correctly before. Found so many mistakes. Okay. Last thing I'm going to do is just cut this little piece of plastic off the rave valve, the old pipe. And I think that is about it for the engine rebuild video. So big thing, priming the oil lines, setting your oil pump correctly. That's in this phase is pretty important. What else can I say? Oh yeah, we got to tighten up the clamp. See, if we didn't do that, shouldn't leave unfinished projects. That's the other thing that I find. You'll forget all about it and then you'll realize when it's too late that you haven't. But I'm going to crimp those. So clamps are on. got to torque all these 11, which is pretty much what the impact drill does. Yeah, they're all there. All good. Yeah, so it's best if you start something, finish it. Don't just say, oh, I'm going to come back to it, because that's where big mistakes can be made. Okay, I think we'll end this video here. So that's pretty much rebuilding a 951. I had one screw up there where you're trying to get the cylinders on and you're so focused on getting the rings and everything in that I had actually put the cylinder head the wrong way around, and you don't realize till you drop it down and it doesn't fit. Took it off, turned it around. When I turned it around the other way, I tore the gasket right at the base right here. So I put some extra Permatex sealant on it. If that does leak, it's just where the water jacket is, which it shouldn't, but if it does, I have another gasket coming. We'll pull that off, cylinders off, pop on a new gasket and put it back together. But for now, we're gonna run it just like that. Should be okay, but now that I've said it out loud, you know, of course it will fail. But anyway, that's her. So hopefully that's helpful for people who want to do it themselves. It's a very simple process. It's just finding the parts, and that's Watercraft Superstore. eBay is a big one. Lots of parts on eBay. Those are really the two that I like. What's the other one? SBT has some good stuff. I wouldn't buy SBT engines or any rebuilds or anything like that, but as far as you want to get parts fast, they courier them out. You get them in like 2 days, and from US to Canada, so that's great for me. Anyway, next video we'll be popping it into the machine, which is over here, and I did do a good hull cleanup on it. Much better than all that crud that was in there before. Labeled everything now, so we shouldn't have much thinking to do. We should be able to just plug and play. So that's it for now for the rebuild, and until the next one, thanks for watching.